Sounders?
Yeah, for us, a really standard week of training. Training's going well, competitive, and opportunities for us to sort of look back at the game, improve some areas that we needed to improve upon, and then and continue to prepare for a really good opponent in Seattle. Expectations of Seattle, obviously I think just from a club perspective, a great club in MLS, a historic club in MLS, a championship winning team, with what I would say one of the top top coaches in the league, top American coaches, a guy that I think a lot of us young coaches in the league look up to, and how he's run it with Brian Schmetzer and his staff, just the consistency across the board, and how they're able to put out really good teams every year. And he does it in a different way. So Seattle poses a lot of different challenges, not afraid to play young players. Have really good players on the team, guys that are coming back from injury. So yeah, we expect a team that playing at home is going to be very difficult, but it's a great opportunity for us to test ourselves on the road.
Thanks, BJ. We'll go Ben and Blair, then we'll go to the Zoom.
BJ, you just kind of mentioned what kind of a model club Seattle are. This year especially, they've got a lot of production from guys that called them from MLS Next Pro and their academy. I'm just curious from your perspective, when you're looking to do something similar with Nashville, what kind of do you take from what they're able to do with their aligning the whole structure of the club? Yeah,
they're certainly a club that you need to look at and learn how to be a long-term, successful, sustained club. The best way I can describe it is I think they have maximized every mechanism on how you can roster build, right? And so that's whether it's acquiring great DPs, all the way down to your homegrown talent, MLS Next Pro, and so when you look at a club from top to bottom, they're really good, and I think a lot of it also comes from their consistency, consistency in the coaching staff, consistency in some of their core players, and they're a team that constantly puts out, constantly gets high level results, the year after year. So for me, I think it's a great club to go and study and try to model after.
And then there were just a couple players I wanted to ask for updates on. Obviously Walker, how's he doing? I think you mentioned Brian Acosta was coming close to being in full team training. And then I just want to get an update on Tyler Boyd. I know he's kind of in a long-term recovery, but how's he been doing, and what's kind of his timeline?
Yeah, so Walker's still in concussion protocol, moving through the required steps that we have. Brian Acosta is in full training, available for selection for this weekend. And Tyler Boyd is progressing as normal. We're hoping, that he'll be entering team training. It's probably not in April, sometime May-ish to get into team training. But like you said, it's a long-term injury. So even though coming back into team training, there's a long period of time of getting him back up. Or it's not as there's a long progression once you get into team training as well, coming back from the ACL. But he's progressing on the timeline that you would expect.
BJ, you mentioned Seattle and the weapons he has, especially in front, Ferreira, Musa, and Bukowski, so I mentioned three of them. How difficult in your mind is that to actually have a sound game defense like you did have, especially in the second half of this past game against guys like that?
Yeah, I think you when you watch Seattle, they've got a really good build-up structure with the ball. They're very comfortable with the ball, long sustained possessions, and that just allows good players like you mentioned to have creativity and unpredictability. So for us, it's just going to be about doing what we do, maintaining our compactness, and trying to force turnovers in areas that we can. But it's going to be a big challenge for us to I would say control Seattle as a team, and then go another layer down and the individual talent that they have, because they certainly can hurt you in a lot of ways.
You talked about Brian's success in this league, one of the best coaches in the league forever. And sometimes you'll say, well, a coach like that would probably play safe every time and just bring the guys that he knows, the veteran guys, the sound guys. But Brian is not scared of bringing young guys and putting them in any game. What comes into a coach's mind, maybe you cannot get into his mind, but to actually say, hey, I'm going to play these three young guys today. well, first of all, I believe they will have to have the quality that he demands from them. But what comes to our mind of the coach is, this is the guy, this is the two guys that are going to play today, even if nobody expects them.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not there. I don't know. I think it's he deserves a ton of credit for the young players that he does play, the homegrown talent that he does play, the way that they've built the entire roster. And I think a lot of that comes from just having confidence in the overall environment. It's a really, when you watch Seattle play, it's a really clear idea on what they want to do with and without the ball. And from there, with that, I think it creates opportunities for young players to step in and to change players if you want to change players, because the identity is very clear and the expectations are very clear. And then those players are also supported by a lot of veteran presence of players. When you have starting in the back with Stephen Fry and you move into the midfield with João Paulo or Christian Roldan and then Albert Rusnak, so the team has a lot of veteran presence, and then I think that gives the opportunity to also put some young dynamic players on the field as well, but understanding that because there's a really clear environment and clear structure to what they're trying to do, you can do it with less unpredictability.
We'll go to John and Valera. I think you're on mute, John.
Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry for the delay there. BJ, just a quick follow there on Walker. I guess, is it fair to say that he's unlikely to play at this point if he's still in the protocol?
For us, the protocol has to take care of itself. So I can't give you unlikely, likely. It's a stage type of thing that happens on a daily basis. So we are truly in a day-to-day sort of day-to-day environment with the protocol.
Sure. And then with Jason Palacios, I guess, how important has it been for him to kind of step in into a very vital role, and kind of what's your evaluation been of how he's done, filling in for Walker, both in terms of his play and communication on the field from that position?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, Jason had the opportunity to kind of get put into a difficult situation in the Charlotte match and did okay, and then had the week of training as the starter and came in, I thought, and, played a really good game versus Salt Lake, and I thought presented a lot of the attributes that we look for and what we expect out of him. So I thought he did a really good job, and the idea is that he'll just continually to get better. That's a starting point for him, and we'll continue to work with him just like we have since the time that he arrived. His ability to adjust off the field, I think, has been really good. The club as a whole, sort of helping that transition process. It's not easy for any player coming into the league, and so it's a credit to him and it's a credit to the club to set him up as much as we can to make sure that when he has his opportunities, he can be as successful. And it's just a starting point for Jason, and we expect him to continue to get better each week.
We'll go to Valera, then Jacob.
Yeah, BJ, those higher midfield roles, I know you call them wingers, but they're not like Ahmed Qasim and Alex Muyl. They don't really play in a traditional winger style. Is it difficult for a more traditional winger like Jonathan Perez and Jacob Schaffberg to maybe break into that? Is there a learning curve into that role?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different demands, and we ask, and I think we ask guys to do, sort of perform different roles in their player profiles. So I think each one of them kind of has their own unique qualities that they bring to the team, and it's our job to deploy it and set them up for success and set the team up for success. So that's, I would say, more of how we look at it is, our job is to create a structure and an environment for each guy to bring his qualities that he has to allow him to perform them.
And then just on going to Seattle, we've heard about the travel in MLS, and obviously playing away is such a disadvantage in this league. How tempting is it to maybe change a little bit of the style and maybe be a little bit more conservative?
No, I mean, that would be changing our identity and who we want to be. And home or away, we want to be a team that's aggressive and always going for it. So yeah, of course there's travel challenges and those type of things, but our approach, game to game, and I would say day to day, when every day we show up to this environment, in this training center, our mentality is the same every day.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah. BJ, so far this season, you guys have scored 12 goals through 8 games, and I think that's right on pace for 50. And you talked about 50 as a target you want to hit for that historically is but hinted at postseason play before the season. I guess how satisfied are you with the output? Do you feel like there's more on the table, or do you feel like you're happy with that pace that you mentioned earlier?
I mean, I look at it in two ways. One, we set a target that we want to be on pace for 50 goals, so we're on pace for 50 goals. It's still early, so I wouldn't say we get caught up in that. On the flip side, we're happy with the way we're performing, but we're greedy. We want more, and we think there's been more goals actually out there that we can score, and we have actually the confidence, understanding that we're creating good scoring chances, and and though more of them will go in if we keep doing what we're doing. We keep refining what we're doing. We keep learning from little situations to how we can get better. We can make better decisions. So it's just a constant process to evolve and grow week to week. But our starting points, we're happy with where we are with our starting points of being able to create good goal scoring chances.
And going into a tough road environment like Seattle, the last road game you played, another tough road environment at Charlotte, you got out to, I think, what was it, one of your or your best first half of the season, I guess. How do you prepare to maybe try to take that same strong start you showed in your last game in the tough road environment, but be able to do that for 90 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I think the environment that we create, the process that we create, is to learn from those experiences. So we can learn from the positive is that it was one of our best first halves. So we go to Seattle with the confidence knowing that we can do it. At the same time, we've had the opportunity to evaluate sort of the second half, and it wasn't our best second half. We know that. We're comfortable understanding that we've learned from that. And we'll continue to try and grow from that and try to, committed to put together a full 90 minutes of our best effort as we can, go into a really tough environment in Seattle versus, not only is the environment tough, but the team's really good. Seattle's a really good team. And so, we have a lot of respect for them, and, we look at it as a great opportunity and a great challenge for this group.
Great, thanks so much.
Yeah, the week's been going well. Obviously, coming off a win, everyone's happy about that. We know there's some areas that we can improve, but when you play in a game like that, and sometimes it's not the cleanest, and maybe you don't play your best, to still find a way to get a win is really important, not only for your confidence, but in the standings. Obviously, anytime you can pick up 3 points, especially at home, it's super important. So taking that confidence, it's also the first time this year where we've gone down and come from behind and gotten the victory. So that'll give us a lot of confidence going forward as well. As we know that going into Seattle, it's going to be a really difficult game. It's a tough place to play, a lot of travel. There's a million excuses you can make, but ultimately we need to go in with the mentality that we're going for 3 points. And no matter how the game goes or what's thrown at us, we need to be resilient, and we need to play for the full 90 minutes.
Thanks, Joe. We'll start with Ben. Go ahead and ask two if you have them, and then if you're on Zoom and you have a question, please use the hand raise function.
Sure. You mentioned just it wasn't the cleanest game against RSL. What were some of the things that stood out to you that you feel like you can kind of clean up and do better at?
Yeah, I mean, just little things like connecting passes, catching the ball. I think just little things like that are more of the technical side of the game as opposed to strategic side of the game. But I think that's also a thing where, that you have games like that where it's not as clean as you want it to be, and you're trying, but the passes just aren't coming off. And ultimately, I think you need to just fight through it and trust in the system and what we're doing, and trust that the next pass you are going to make. And I think from a defensive standpoint, they got a few chances early on, and we've looked at video of that and know how we can clean that up. So yeah, we made some adjustments throughout the game, and those seem to help. And I think it's a credit to not only our coaching staff and recognizing what was going on in the game, but also to everyone who's on the field being able to stay tuned in and to fight until the last minute.
And then obviously Seattle have been one of the best teams in MLS over the last decade, maybe longer. What do you expect from them? It feels like they're one of the teams that, like, regardless of form, they're always just really tough to play against.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It doesn't matter what their last result was. It doesn't matter what their last 5 results are. It doesn't matter who's on the field for them. Anytime you go to Seattle, you're in for a battle. So we talk a lot about intensity being the starting point for us. So that's definitely going to have to be the case. We're going to need to go in with the right mentality that it's going to be a fight, and if we're going to get 3 points, we're really going to have to earn it.
Joe, your game in Charlotte was one of the best, like everybody said, the best first half you played this season. And then you have like 25 minutes in the last game that were very tough for you guys also. You already mentioned some of the stuff that happened, but it's just the rival that makes those things happen when a team can actually play, because Charlotte's a pretty good team, I mean, don't get me wrong, but you can play against them a very, very good 45 minutes, and then you come in and kind of give away 25 in the next game. What's going on there, if you could tell us?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Charlotte game was a bit of an anomaly considering what happened with Walker. I think a lot of the guys were pretty emotional after that happened, and it was, not to make excuses, but it was difficult for us to stay focused for that last 25 minutes. I think also, kind of alluded to it earlier, but Charlotte made some changes at halftime, and I don't think we adjusted to their changes as well as we should have, and they were able to get on the front foot a little bit more and retain more possession than we were. So I think it's about, like I said, the mentality of playing for 90 minutes and not giving up on plays and not quitting until the job's done, as well as being able to adjust on the fly when we recognize that the opponent has changed something in their shape or personnel.
Now, in terms of Seattle, I mean, you already said that there's a team that's always ready to play no matter what position they are, what's going on with them. But from the scouting report, what's the main things that you have to be aware of when you go to that city and play them at home?
They have some dangerous attacking players. Doesn't matter who's on the field for them, but they have a lot of firepower up front. They like to play combinations through the middle of the field and attack down the center. So we need to stay compact defensively. We need to deny central passes. We need to force them wide and defend crosses as well as we can. And yeah.
We'll go to Jacob on the Zoom, then John.
Yeah, Joe, what do you emphasize to guys, especially younger players, and with this team being kind of as young as it is, what do you emphasize to those guys on the team before a road game in a tough environment like Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a tough environment, but I think we can look back on games like Philadelphia where we go to another tough environment and we're able to play well and get a win there. So, we talk a lot about the first time we've done things this season, and we like to commemorate those in a way. And the reason to do that is so that when we get into a new situation, we can look back at all the things we've done. And like I said, we went into Philly, a difficult place to play. So we know going into Seattle, it's not going to be easy, but we can have the confidence that we've done something similar before, and we're capable of doing it again.
You mentioned that confidence from the first time doing things, and Saturday was the first time, you came back from a deficit to win a game this year. Is that a similar moment against Real Salt Lake that you can take?
For sure. We know that no matter what happens in a game, whether we give up a goal in the first minute or the 85th minute, that we are obviously capable of coming back and scoring again. And that was also the first time I think that we've had a goal that late So, the past 2 weeks, we've lost on goals basically in the 90th minute. So to be able to score one in the 90th minute, it gives us confidence, and it gives us the belief that, like I said, we need to play the full 90 minutes and know that there can still be goals in the game for us if we get into a bad spot.
Go ahead, John, and then we'll go to Valer.
Joe, I wonder if you can talk a little bit about Jason Palacios. Obviously, stepped into a pretty difficult role there. What have you seen from him last couple games in terms of his play and also, communication, filling in for a team captain and a guy who's obviously a real leader on the field there?
Yeah, I think anytime we lose Walker, it's definitely difficult, but Jason, I thought, was fantastic in the game on the weekend. He's an excellent player. He is confident on the ball. He has good vision to pick up passes. He has really good 1v1 defending abilities. He's a big guy. He's good in the air. He has all the tools to be a successful central defender for our team and in this league. So, like I said, when you miss a guy like Walker, it's difficult, but I think Jason has done an excellent job of stepping into that role and helping us to make sure that we don't miss a beat.
Just to follow on that, I know Walker's probably kind of like a field general, if you will, in terms of communication. Is that, part of the challenge too for a guy like Jason when he steps in, especially the fact that he's new to the team this year?
Yeah, definitely. It is challenging at times. There's a little bit of a language barrier, but and not the same familiarity considering he hasn't played as much. But that's also something that we've talked a lot about, where it's the next man up mentality. We play the same system and expect the same things out of each role, no matter who the person is in that role. So he's done his homework. He knows what's expected of him in that when he plays. So hopefully, communication is a super important part of that position and playing any position really in soccer. But hopefully, we all know our roles well enough that it can mitigate some of the communication issues that may arise.
Go ahead, Valer.
Hey, Joe. We know you have a goalkeeper union, but it's a new one this year with the new additions to the team. What have you made of the new faces within the goalkeeper position?
Yeah, it's been great so far. Brian and Xavier have been excellent. And Danny as well. Danny's a new addition, and I think we've all formed a really good relationship with each other. We push each other. We have open communication with each other. We do video sessions together. I think it's been really great to have that kind of relationship with each other, because it's healthy competition where we're all pushing to play the one position and to be the one guy who gets to start. But at the same time, we're all supporting each other, and we all play for the same team. So no matter who's on the field at the time, we're all rooting for each other because, their success is my success and vice versa, because, we play a team sport.
And then additionally, it was just announced like 10 minutes ago that you'll be facing the Chattanooga Red Wolves in the U.S. Open Cup round of 32, first round for you guys. In the locker room, we've asked BJ Callaghan about this, but in the locker room, what is the discussion around the U.S. Open Cup from a player's perspective?
Well, this is the first I'm hearing that we just drew Chattanooga for the game, so that's exciting. Exciting to have a game. Are we hosting it? We're hosting it, right? Yeah. So that'll be fun. A little in-state derby, if you will. To be honest, we haven't talked a lot about the Open Cup right now. We're focused on the next game. But from my personal experience, the Open Cup is a really fun tournament, one that I love, and one that is not only, in my mind, a prestigious trophy to win in this country, but also an awesome opportunity for some guys who maybe don't play as much in the regular season to get some minutes and to show what they're worth. And so I think it's overall just an awesome tournament.